Hi guys, hope you're all okay. Welcome to this new video. Today I'm just going to talk about and show some of my favourite Giallo films I have from the 1980s. Of course it was the 1970s that was the golden period for the Giallo. Most of the classics were made then. Far too many to talk about and show in one video, so I've decided to narrow this down to just talking about 1980s Giallo films. There's still a lot of gems made then. So here we go. First one is a total classic for me, and that is Lamberto Bava's Blade in the Dark. Awesome Giallo film, massive fan of this. Really suspenseful, stylish, creepy film. It's got like a sort of different setting for a Giallo. It's all set around this villa. There's not that many characters in this film, but it's just highly entertaining all the way through. The set piece killings are amazing. It's a great film, massive fan of it. Blade in the Dark. Next we got Murder Obsession, directed by Riccardo Freda from 1981. Great Giallo with a real sort of gothic atmosphere. It's kind of sort of slow moving. It takes a while to get into it for the killings to begin, but I'm a big fan of this film too. It's got some great atmospheric, sort of nightmare, dream type sequences in it. It's a very cool film, Murder Obsession. Next is Nothing Underneath, a film I've talked about before, so I won't go on about this in too much detail. It's a really cool Giallo from the mid-80s with Donald Pleasence. I like it. Next, Too Beautiful to Die, which is almost like an unofficial sequel to that. Very similar to Nothing Underneath, but it's just not as good as that. But it's still pretty cool though, Too Beautiful to Die. Next, Murder Rock, really underrated Lucio Fulci Giallo. Not that many people talk about this film. I like it. Of course it's not as good as his classics, but cool Giallo, real strong direction, really suspenseful. I like it. Murder Rock. Next is Sweets from a Stranger, 1987 Giallo. Not that well known, but it's a good film. Hasn't got the highest of body counts, but it's very entertaining. Real sort of disturbing twist in it. It's a cool film. Next is a classic 80s one from Lamberto Bava, and that is You'll Die at Midnight, also known as Midnight Ripper. Awesome Giallo film, massive fan of this one. Bit different to Blade in the Dark. This one is your more usual Giallo film, the police investigation. Loads of characters in this film. Great film, great deaths, great suspense, stylish, brilliant film, love it. Next, Paganini Horror. It's not really a proper Giallo, but the first half an hour or so is kind of like a Giallo, and then it just goes really, really weird. I thought I'd include it. It's a pretty cool film, Paganini Horror. Next, I've got on this bootleg two films. First one is Trhauma, not to be confused with Argento's Trhauma. This one is from 1980. And it's more like a slasher film really. I only really sort of classing it as a Giallo because it does have a twist at the end, which I suppose means you can call it a Giallo because of that. It was more a slasher film. The main one I want to talk about is this one here, and that is House with the Yellow Carpet. Great film, really unique Giallo. It's like none other you've ever seen. From 1983. It's almost like a play. Most of the film is set around this house, only a few characters in the whole film. Full of twists and turns, very cool film, really like it. Next I've only got on this is Lamberto Bava's Delirium, another great Giallo film. I don't like it as much as A Blade in the Dark or You'll Die at Midnight, but it's still a very cool film. Definitely worth checking out for fans. From 1987 I think. Next one is The Killer Is Still Among Us. Another cool Giallo film, not the most well known, from 1985. Has a couple of pretty brutal scenes in it. Yeah, I'm a fan of it, it's a good film. This one, if you want to call it a Giallo, I usually do, that's Pieces. Classic, early 80s one. Very cheesy but fun. And next, coming into some of the best ones from the 1980s, New York Ripper. Just absolute fantastic Giallo film, everyone knows about it. I've talked about this film so many times before. watched it more times than any other film. It's an absolute masterpiece for me, just love it. Then Argento's Terror at the Opera, just a fantastic, awesome Giallo film, one of my favourites. The film is so stylish, it's unbelievable. Again, another masterpiece for me. Next, I've got Phenomena, another Argento masterpiece. Just such a brilliant film. Quite a long film, but fantastic in all ways. Really stylish, brutal, entertaining all the way through. It's a total classic. And then, I have to say, the daddy of all the 1980s Giallo films, the best Giallo film of the 80s for me, is Tenebre. Talked about this also many times before. It's an absolute classic. I can go on about this film, you know, always. I just love it so much. It's brilliant. That's Tenebre. And this one here I'll include, it's not your typical Giallo, it's more of a slasher, but I thought I'd include it. Phantom of Death, Ruggero Deodato. Yeah, it's a cool film. I've always liked this one. It's more of a